Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Something where me and Colin just kind of sit down and talk to you guys for a minute about some of the changes going on around the channel and Patreon. Nothing crazy, just kind of housekeeping, I guess you can call it, where we're getting things just organized and on a better schedule than it was before because we've kind of slipped up and it goes from like time constraints of what we can do together to like ideas, I guess, and then things fall through. And I feel like it's everywhere. I do feel like it's everywhere.
Yeah, well, it's just hopefully this will also help us produce more content or content you guys might even like better based on some of this stuff. I talked a little bit about this on this previous week's Patreon mini podcast about just a lot of stuff going on, and so I think what we've devised works good around our schedule, so we shouldn't. It'll be less likely to have hiccups. Although I say this, but we're about to hit like Christmas and New Year's, so we're gonna launch this and be like, all right, there's gonna be some hiccups here at the start, but ideally this will be sort of the schedule for the channel and for Patreon. If you're a patron, I'll go over that as well. So we'll just real quick go through the week here. So Tuesdays will be gameplay videos. This could be IRL or it could be Untap, depending on what we backlog. We're hoping to backlog some stuff and everything like that. And on the Patreon side, it'll have our post gameplay discussion. So we'll have the gameplay on the channel, and then our post gameplay discussion where we sort of talk about what went good, what went bad, or what we're trying to do, stuff like that. To sort of delve into it. Thursday, so what I'm going to be doing, at least temporarily, or if people like this, maybe it'll be permanent. But I'm temporarily going to stop doing the news, the TCG news, Argent news, all that stuff, just because it's a lot of effort to do that, because I'm doing that by myself, so it's researching all the stuff throughout the week, typing out the article, filming it on the green screen. That takes a long time to edit and render on my computer. It takes several hours, so and I have a lot of stuff going on. So what we're going to do instead, which I think could actually be really fun, is we're still brainstorming names. So if you guys have ideas, let us know. But it'll be a weekly roundup. I have the idea of maybe the weekly card flip or something like that. But it'll be me and Oscar like we are right now. I'm probably going to do up the background here so it looks a little bit nicer. But it'll be he and I going over the past week's news, similar to my TCG news, but it'll be more of a back and forth. It won't be too much opinion stuff because we'll save the major stuff like that for the podcast, but it'll still have, our thoughts, and it'll actually have someone to contrast me instead of me just telling you guys how terrible it is that they don't have texturing anymore and stuff like that. So stuff like that, I think that could be a lot of fun, and it makes it so there's a little bit less effort going into it, but it could also, on the flip side, be more entertaining. Anything else to add to that, Oscar?
No, I mean, just keep going.
Jeez.
Well, I guess I just want to add on to the part where it was like the news, where it was like a lot of effort going into it, and how we noticed like the viewer base had dropped as well. So that's kind of the payoff point where it's like, if it was still 800, 600 views, you'd still be doing it. But seeing as we're at 100, 200 views, is like, is it really worth it anymore to put all the effort in it at least?
Yeah, and it's not like, oh, I need all these views or something like that. It's just like for literally hours of effort into a weekly video on top of the normal content, on top of my main job and my second job and side jobs I'm doing. There's just a lot of stuff. If it was like crazy amount of interest, then I'd try and figure out a way to maybe make it work. Yeah. But and also on that Thursday nights, we'll be filming the podcast, but we'll be doing it live over on Twitch.
Well, I talked about this in a special little thing I filmed before the main podcast came out this week. Joey was having issues with his computer, so I don't think we're going to be live this coming week. We're going to have him figure it out. Once that's good to go, then the following week we're going to try the live thing again and see how that pans out.
Well, it's
that's the message I gave before the podcast last time.
That might be, well, yeah, I see what you're saying, because he bleeps in and out of existence.
Because as something for you to watch live, guys, like, it's perfectly fine. But the fact that I want that as an option for y'all to go on Twitch and just tune in and watch it live, maybe add something while we're recording. I still wanted the thing that came out Saturday on SoundCloud to have good audio, so we're still recording our audio while Colin streamed it. But for some reason, Joey's computer just couldn't handle the phone call and recording,
Well,
which is weird because last computer could, but something's going on.
It's not
right?
that his computer can't handle it. I'm gonna wait to see what happens, but I still hold to his power supply is either misfunctional or he plugged it in wrong. But yeah, his computer should be able to handle a bunch of stuff now.
Yeah, so I want him to figure it out before we attempt a live thing again. Just because of that.
But I mean, that'll be something that we'll be doing. So make sure if you haven't, twitch.tv/TCG Scrubs to follow that, so you know when we go live. And then on the Patreon side, on that same day, we'll have a best of one untapped gameplay on Patreon. And that'll be probably more experimental stuff of like, hey, we're trying this deck out as we're deck testing and stuff like that. So it's a cool little insight to especially Oscar and Joey's dynamic. Every other Friday. So this is where I'm going to concern, because I'm not just like abandoning this stuff, because I do enjoy doing these high effort stuff, especially the stuff with the green screen and all that. So what I'm going to do is, instead of every week, every other Friday, I'm going to have a special video that I'm working on for the past 2 weeks that'll be more in line with, like, say, my Godzilla video for the couple of you guys that watch that. I really enjoy doing stuff like that, where it's a lot more in-depth. It requires research, me typing out a script and spending like a long time editing it and all that stuff. I really like that type of stuff, and so I'm going to finish it out. I have 3 more Godzilla videos to do. I don't know if those will necessarily be bi-weekly or if I'll try and pump them out every single week for those of you who aren't interested in that. But I have 3 more Godzilla videos to do, and I'll move on to other stuff. I'll do something similar with the lore stuff for Naruto or Naruto Shippuden. I might go branch out to other stuff. It doesn't, not necessarily just lore stuff, just anything that requires a high amount of effort or research or anything like that is what I want to do.
And to be clear, he's picking Godzilla, Naruto, and all that because of Chrono Clash, which is a card game.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Everybody might be like, why are you just going to do a history of Naruto?
Yeah, no, it's all still TCG related stuff in some fashion, but it'll
I also branch
off to stuff.
That you said, I like the research involved and all the work going into it. That's why I like to do those videos. But I'm not going to do the news anymore.
Well, no, the news is more work. And it's weekly.
A funny way that lined up.
like I was explaining to Oscar, there's a difference between like, oh, I need to do the news this week, I'm busy doing that, versus if I switch to every other week and do this more specialized video, it's like, okay, I don't have to constantly daily keep up with the news and panic if I miss something, and then, oh, I'm busy this week. That's fine because I have 2 weeks to do this. It's a whole thing.
So what else is on that list?
On the Patreon side for that same day. So on the off week that it's not releasing, it'll have a preview or descriptor on Patreon of whatever project I'm working on. And also I'll be taking feedback of anyone who has something they want to sort of me to look into or do a video on or a deep dive on. Like I was thinking of doing one maybe on trying to track finances for Force of Will, like on the card single market, how different stuff of that works, especially with the shift. But that might be a bit complicated, but anything random like that.
Yeah, we could probably do some on the fly, like what is it called, finance stuff.
Yeah, you could definitely
the top 10 cards are.
Top 10 and all that.
But was there anything else you want to add? Okay, I had one last thing I wanted to say.
Well, I still got one more day here, which is on Saturdays when the official podcast releases, not when it's streamed, but it releases officially on Saturday, as well as always the mini podcast on Patreon. So ideally 3 videos a week with a 4th video every other week, and then 3 to 4 videos on Patreon weekly as well. So, and on the Patreon side, if you guys check, I changed up all the rewards. They're more in line with everything. I bumped the miscellaneous video up to $5 instead of $1, so that people who do the higher tiers are actually getting a bit more for their money, since a lot of people don't like to do the more involved stuff like gameplay or deck profiles with us and stuff like that. But good.
I would say, like, if there's anything else people who are still watching this want to see more of from the channel, definitely let us know in the comments below things that you had ideas of. I know when we started this channel, it was just revolved around that revolved around, right? It was all based on gameplay. Like I just wanted tons of gameplay. That's one thing we didn't see online, and that's also why the name came into play of TCG scripts, so that we could excuse a lot of the misplays we made, especially since we're still learning the card game at the time. You know, I feel like we have that down more, and the only thing that we have are misplays of like lost opportunities of how game could have gone over rules misplays, but that's definitely something I would like to get back to. I know like we have some of the gameplay starting off already. Just let me know what else you guys think you might want to be checking out here.
Yeah, and obviously we'll be covering alternate souls extensively. I really liked how that turned out with the gameplay of that. I'll probably won't be as involved with the 3D cards flipping in, because my computer is just having a hard time with that. So it'll just be normal cards flipping in.
Like the way I just throw them in,
yeah,
on the side. That's all you need to do, man.
Well, I'll do that. I'll do the flippy flip for normal stuff, but the angle having a 3D card is too much for me. But
yeah,
I really liked having 2 angles. I want a 3rd angle to switch with alternate souls and stuff. But I like that type of stuff. But yeah, Force Will and alternate souls, and I'm hoping to do a little bit more with Argent Saga. Maybe we'll see if we get the time. But yeah, it's just getting together with Oscar to film stuff it can be a theme.
We're also supposed to have Rogues Guild gauntlets for Argent Saga on here. They haven't filmed any yet, but I'm sure they'll do some at some point, and which would be featured on here as well.
Yeah, but that's all the main themes. So if you guys have any questions, or if you have any suggestions, like Oscar had said, for content over here or on Patreon, as well as specific things like, oh, I wish you got I see gameplay a lot, but I don't see any gameplay with this deck or this type of thing. Or I want to see more Epic Stories gameplay. No one does that. Or
I do miss Epic Stories a lot, but keep going. We can't do it like with Joey.
I want to see this subject matter, like I said in my videos, or I want to see you guys take this approach to the weekly roundup. Anything like that. We haven't filmed anything yet. We might film a test weekly roundup this week. I don't know. Depends how our schedules are, but everything's up in the air. So, any feedback is great.
Yeah, and we're about to do a deck profile right now for Wander on our Patreon. So check it out.
All right. Boop, boop.